Hey there, and welcome to AutumnAfar, and welcome back to those of you who have joined me before. As always, any of the links I've used as part of my research for this video are going to be linked in the description box below, and I encourage you to do your own research and form your own opinions. Today's video is going to be about online travel tools, more specifically apps. I previously did a video on web travel tools for computers and for websites, so that will be up in the cards above me, and I will link it down below if I remember. So if you prefer to look up or check anything on a computer, you can definitely check out that video, and I would highly recommend it since there are a couple websites that you probably don't know about on there. So like I said in the last video that I did on this topic, the internet is a treasure trove of information and resources, many of which you may not know about. This list, again, is not every single resource, but it includes some of the resources I use personally and when I was a travel agent. So the first one you've probably heard of because it's been around for a little while now. It's called Hopper. Hopper is becoming a really significant player when it comes to booking flights. Like Google Flights, Hopper allows you to see various flight options and to check different dates. Where Hopper is ahead of Google Flights, in my opinion, is that they allow you to watch for whole locations, not just specific airports or flights. They also allow you to have a better idea of pricing because they tell you if the price is likely to go up, go down, or stay stagnant. Hopper also recently added accommodations, so you can get a place to stay on the same app. Hopper claims up to 95% accuracy up to a year in advance and have reportedly helped over 30 million travelers so far. I do really enjoy this app and hope one day they expand it to a website, but for now I'll keep my notifications on and wait for the deals to come my way. So after Google Trips was taken out of commission by Google, my next favorite app has to be TripIt. Much like the Google Trips app, TripIt will track your trip and then some. The app includes things like airport maps, neighborhood safety ratings, transportation options, ratings of your in-flight experience. One of the most interesting features has to be that it tracks if you have compensation eligibility if your flight should be delayed or cancelled, though that is only available in specific markets. TripIt is available on many devices, and the plans can be shared on your own calendar. That way you'll know where you'll be and when, which after traveling over a couple time zones will be very, very helpful. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I had to explain to clients how it was they were leaving on the 3rd of the month and arriving on the 5th or the 6th because they didn't understand the concept of time zone changes and how different places are different days. It's very difficult sometimes. The next app is one that I actually saw an ad for on Facebook. Using the Trotter app, not only can you get tips from other users, but it also gives you suggestions from when people comment on your question from your social media accounts. You're also able to put in where you visited by city and where you would like to visit. I'm still in the process of learning how to use the app, but so far I have really enjoyed using it. It's got a great interface and the people seem really genuinely helpful. The people on the app love traveling and helping people with their trips, which is one thing I really miss having left the travel industry, and a significant reason why I'm doing this now, because I want to talk to people about traveling and help them. It's the reason I got into the travel industry to begin with. Another app that I really enjoy is actually a packing app called PackPoint. This app has been on my devices pretty steadily for years. The app itself, it has a great setup and is user-friendly, and it also has a ton of options. To give you a really quick rundown of how it works, you select where you're going and for how long. You choose what kind of trip it is, whether it's a business trip or a personal trip, and what activities you plan to do. And there are even weather options integrated into the app as well. One of my favorite parts is the sharing feature. As I understand, you can also share with TripIt when you use an unlock feature for about $1 or so. It might be different in different markets. I really love being able to customize my list because I know what I will and won't use and I keep my lists minimal, meaning I can use it for just about any single one of my trips. So I had some reservations about including this particular app on the list because I've heard some pretty negative things about it. I've heard about people lying and posting false reviews and all kinds of terrible things, but it still is a pretty great tool as far as finding things and figuring out how much things are going to cost, because TripAdvisor gives you everything in your own currency where available. The fact remains that it's still one of the most popular ways to look at and book different experiences in just about every city around the world. My advice with this site and this app is to take everything with a grain of salt. Remember to check a few other sources before you book, to look at other review sites to see what people have to say about a restaurant or a location. And if you're going to book something, always check and see with the provider directly, as they sometimes offer better rates if you book with them directly versus booking on a site like TripAdvisor, because it saves them money if you book directly with them, since they don't have any processing fees or listing fees that they usually might have on a site like TripAdvisor. So before I finish off here, there are a couple other apps I just want to go over really quickly that most people probably know about, but that I really highly recommend. The first one is Google Translate. Google Translate, for the most part, is really fantastic because you can type things in and find out where you're going, what signs might say. You can ask for directions using it. You're also able to translate signs. I've seen a lot of people are able to take photos and translate signs, so they're able to go through that way. Sitter Squat is one that has been very, very helpful to a lot of different people. It is an application which not only finds public restrooms, but it gives them a rating, so you know which ones you should sit or squat at while using. Hence the name. Waze. If you live in a city that has as much traffic as Montreal does, you probably know about Waze. Waze is great if you're driving around an unfamiliar place. It shows traffic levels on different routes, accident reports, gas alerts, which is always very helpful. Road Trippers, which much like the website, shows you attractions along the route of your road trip, which you can plan in advance or wing it and use it on the go. Google Maps. Why would you not use one of the most downloaded apps ever? It works great, and you can pre-download the maps to use offline so that you don't get lost in a new city or a new area, and save places from all over the world that you want to visit. So when you're ready to go somewhere, you have a whole bunch of places already listed for things that you might want to visit or see. Airline apps are also really fantastic now. A lot of them allow you to do check-in, and depending on the airline, at times they do change the gate or departure time or your boarding time, so the app will give you notifications that a lot of people might miss if they're just watching the border, if they're just hanging out sleeping at the airport, and it just can help your trip be a lot less stressful. I don't really have any recommendations for this particular set of apps, but I really do like journaling apps. I haven't found one that I really like quite yet, but I like the idea of being able to write and share my travel somewhere that isn't social media, because I don't want to post where I am when I am somewhere, just for safety purposes. And I also, as much as I love writing in a book, it does get very heavy to carry around after a while. So it's definitely something that I am looking for as far as applications go. It would also be great if I could find one that doesn't store the information on my phone, so that I have a little bit more space for photos. If you're much like a pretty large majority of the population, you probably love music and podcasts. Music is universally loved. Every country has their own taste and their own history with music, and I love being able to share that with those that I meet. I also love making playlists that remind me of a certain place or a certain trip with music from that area, so that every time I listen to that playlist or a certain song, it kind of brings me back to that time. And podcasts are really a great way to pass the time, especially if you're going to be sitting at the airport for a really long period of time with not much to do and no one to talk to. I also love learning new things and having something different to listen to while I'm on transit or wandering around a new city. That's why I really do love podcasts so much. There are so many different options and types of podcasts that you can listen to by so many different people. You are bound to find one that you love. That is all I have for today, but I want to do something a little bit different. Drop a comment below with your favorite song from a trip or a podcast that you love, and I will do my best to check all of them out. I'm gonna leave you with one of my favorite ones. My favorite song from a trip is called Sunset Lover. It doesn't have any lyrics, but I absolutely love the sound of it. I remember having just checked into our hostel in Tasmania. I think it was one of our first hostels, when I got the recommendation on Spotify, and it was the first time I'd had Wi-Fi in like 2 days or so. So I hadn't been able to check in with anyone for a couple days, which seems like an eternity, but it really isn't. And it's almost always, even now, 3 years later, the first song I add to any new playlist, because I absolutely adore that song so much, and I listen to it on a regular basis. So drop your favorite song from a trip, or just your favorite song, your favorite podcast down below, and I'm going to try and check those out because I'm always looking for recommendations. Thank you again so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments about the topic today, be sure to leave them down below in the comment section along with your favorite song or podcast. And you can follow me on all social medias as @AutumnAfar. And remember, the best time for a new beginning is now. I'll see you next time.